Hello. Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. It's currently towards the end of the afternoon here in lovely Baltimore. Well, it's not that lovely. It's actually starting to drizzle. But hey, that's a good day in Baltimore. I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for dialing in and listening to this video. It's a overview of the intro of the Transitional Year Program at the University of Maryland Medical Center Midtown campus. Now, this is going to take a little while. I apologize for that, but uh, sit down in your easy chair, put your feet up, maybe get a cup of coffee beside you, and buckle in. And previously, this has taken about maybe 80 or 90 minutes. Apologize for that. The purpose of this is to give you a comprehensive overview of the program. And what we try to do is answer the questions that applicants have asked in the past. Um, so I hope this is helpful to you. And if not, maybe it'll be entertaining. I don't know. Let's see. So keep an open mind. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're here in Baltimore, and this is the map of Baltimore, and this is where our hospital is located. It looks like, for all the world, that we're located right downtown. It looks like we're at the confluence of these highways. Route 95 goes up north towards Philadelphia. 95 south goes down to Washington, D.C. 83 goes northwest up to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It looks like we're at the confluence of these highways. It looks, for all the world, like we're located downtown, but we're not. We're located in this area called Midtown, and so here's Route 83, which goes off to the northwest, and this is where our hospital is located. Now, these blue dots are apartment buildings where residents have lived in the past. These are within walking distance of the hospital. This area where a lot of these blue dots are concentrated, this area is called Midtown. It's there's three colleges in that area. There's the Maryland Institute College for Art. It's one of the oldest art schools in the country. There's the University of Maryland, Baltimore, which is largely a commuter school. Also, University of Maryland Law School is located right in the middle of Midtown. University of Maryland Law School is also located there. So a lot of young people, especially during the school year, it's a busy time of year for students. Um, and It's a diverse community as well. There's people can commute to the hospital from the suburbs. If you want to live in the suburbs, you can commute. There's a single surface trolley in Baltimore called the light rail, and the northernmost point of the light rail is in a suburb called Hunt Valley. The southern tip of that light rail is right at the Baltimore Washington Airport, and so we're 1 block away from the light rail stop. There's also one subway in Baltimore called the Metro, and it starts in the northwestern suburb of Owings Mills, and the terminal eastern station is right at Johns Hopkins Hospital. So we're 1 block away from the Metro stop. So you can commute to the hospital by public transportation. You can live nearby. You have various options open to you. This is the downtown, and the downtown is dominated by this body of water called the Inner Harbor. A lot of activities and attractions in the downtown area. On the very far left side of this picture is the National Aquarium, and then there's these buildings with this building with the funny white roof there's a venue for concerts. So a lot of activities in the downtown area that will distract our residents from their studies. This is a view of the Inner Harbor from the water, and here's a couple of our residents. There's these little small cruise boats that go around the harbor, and here they are taking a break from their studies, I'm sure. This area of Midtown is known for the arts. Uh, the This is the Walters Art Museum. Is located about 3 blocks to the south of us. It's a wonderful art museum. This is the Meyerhoff Symphony Hall, which is located a block away from us. It's a wonderful venue for music. This is the inside of the Meyerhoff. Um, um, Very popular, and um, they have concerts all year round. Uh, each year they have and down in this area a big art festival called Artscape. It's supposed to be the largest art fair in the country. Um, it it's pretty crazy. They block off all the streets in our around the hospital. It goes from Thursday to Sunday. There's a lot to do. There's concerts. There's all kinds of venues related to art. Um, they used to have it in the summertime, and boy, oh boy, it was hot. It seems like they schedule it on the hottest weekend of the summer, but then they started doing them in the fall, and um, yeah, I guess that's been better. I don't know. Uh, I, I told one of my good friends I'm coming here to this hospital to work, and he said, "Oh, great! I finally have parking for Art Fest." That's the kind of friends I have. This is Micah, Maryland Institute College for Art, and the Lyric Performing Arts Center is also about 3 blocks just to the north of us. There's a lot of restaurants in this area. Here in this bottom left corner is the Peabody Library, which is a Johns Hopkins music school library. Um, it's pretty cool to go in there, and it looks like something from Harry Potter. Um, Here on the bottom right is the Washington Monument. Baltimore is proud to have the first Washington Monument. Uh, it's about 3 blocks away from our hospital. I heard there's another one down in Washington D.C. I try to focus the residents' evening activities on this venue, which is the University of Maryland Medical Library. It's residents can go there. It's open late. A lot of uh, uh, a lot of opportunities to study and learn. Um, it's been a little bit of a difficult sell. Okay, so let me get you caught up about the Midtown campus, about how it came to be, and that involves taking a step back in history, and also understanding a little bit about the history of health economics in this country. So this hospital was formerly known as Maryland General Hospital, the original MGH. Now, we weren't the original MGH, but we were close. But it's been here for over 125 years at this same site. It was a nonprofit community hospital that helped service this community. And it was a diverse community. There's people associated with the arts who lived in our region. There's a neighborhood just north of us called Bolton Hill, which is a nice neighborhood. There's also just north of us, there's these state office buildings, and these state office workers used our campus for their health care. Um, uh, to the west of us, there are communities of patients who suffer from social economic challenges, and we're pleased and honored to serve those communities. So it's a diverse community, and this hospital has been proud to serve those communities over the years. Uh, and in Now in the 1980s, and this is a phenomenon that occurred all over the country. There was People were leaving the cities and moving out to the suburbs. Tremendous growth of the suburbs, and this is throughout the entire country, from Atlanta up to Boston, occurred in San Francisco and L.A. So um, there was a suburb north of us that didn't have a hospital, and the board of directors of this hospital said, "Hey, let's move out there. Uh, Growing population, great demographics. We could do really well out there." The hospital purchased a plot of land out there. They drew up architectural plans to build a new hospital. I've seen the plans that were so detailed. You could see where the light sockets were going to go in each of the rooms, and for all the world, they were going to move. Then at the last minute, the governor of the state of Maryland came, the mayor of the city of Baltimore came to visit, uh, and they asked the hospital leadership to please stay. And the hospital leadership came to understand, came to realize that the hospital had deep roots here, had a commitment to these communities, and so the hospital decided to stay. And so the hospital struggled along, and this was a particularly difficult time for all hospitals around the country because in about 1983, Medicare changed its reimbursement paradigm from a process in which if you provided care to a patient, you sent the bill to Medicare, Medicare paid the bill, and that was how business was done until about 1983. And at that point, they changed to a DRG system, which is still in play today. What is that system? You get paid for a diagnosis. So if you admit a patient to the hospital with congestive heart failure, you get one sum of money. And whether you kept the patient in the hospital for 2 days or kept in the hospital for 2 weeks, you only got that one sum of money. So this is a radical change in reimbursement that all hospitals around the country grappled with, and this hospital was no exception. Then in the 1990s, uh, things became even worse for hospitals around the country. In 1992, President Clinton took office, and President Clinton tried to implement a healthcare reform bill. Now, it didn't pass, uh, but he did promulgate legislation that promoted the growth of health maintenance organizations, HMOs. And what HMOs did was to enroll tens of thousands of patients into their plan. And then they would go knock on the door of these hospitals and say, if one of our patients gets admitted to your hospital, here's what we're going to pay you. And please sign here. And the hospitals will say, oh gosh, we can't do business with those kinds of rates. And the HMO will say, okay, well, thank you very much. We're going to go next door to the hospital down the street and talk to them. And so hospitals were compelled to sign these adverse contracts. Now, this occurred in the cities. Out in the rural areas where there wasn't a hospital down the street, if the hospital refused to sign the contract, then those patients in that area would not have a hospital to go to. So this is really a phenomenon that affected the cities. Um, and but what happened was the hospitals would sign these adverse contracts. They would go in the red, and quite a few hospitals around the country closed. How did hospitals respond? They merged and consolidated into systems. So um, uh, in Philadelphia, for example, at the beginning of that decade, there were probably 21 different independent hospitals. At the end of the decade, there are 3 hospital systems. There was the Penn system, the Jefferson system, the Temple Allegheny systems, and why did that happen? Because if the HMO went to, for example, they went to Penn, and said, "Hey, this is what we're going to pay you." And Penn says, "No, we're not going to sign that contract." And then that means that if patients live in West Philadelphia and none of the hospitals in West Philadelphia would accept that contract, then those patients would have no place to go for hospital care. They have to go to another region. And so the HMO would have to, they felt compelled to negotiate with these systems. And so by becoming part of a hospital system, that system began to have negotiating power. And so the same phenomenon occurred in all large cities. I think it's still occurring in New York City. It's hard to keep up with which hospital belongs to which system. There's it's dizzying trying to figure that out. Up in Boston, the Mass General merged with the Brigham. Now, up until that time, people from those two hospitals, they wouldn't be caught dead talking to each other. Now they're part of one system, um, and um, and it's become a very powerful system. So here in Baltimore, uh, there's there's the Hopkins system. Um, Sinai Hospital has a system called LifeBridge, and University of Maryland has a system. All right, so let me tell you about University of Maryland. University of Maryland uh, is the medical center and the medical school, and they're owned by the state. And they were started over 250 years ago. And back then, people who lived in Maryland lived around Baltimore because there was the harbor, and and the state realized that if people got sick, they needed a hospital, so they built the hospital. And then they decided that we needed to build a medical school to train doctors to work at the hospital, and so the medical school got started. Now, over time, people moved away from the city of Baltimore to all the different regions in the state of Maryland, and so University of Maryland developed a system of hospitals. There's now 13 hospitals in the system, and they're located in strategic locations around the state. So if you are a citizen of the state of Maryland, you became sick, you needed hospital care, you could go to one of the hospitals in the Maryland system, access hospital care. And if you needed tertiary care, then you would be sent to the University of Maryland Medical Center located in downtown Baltimore, and they would provide you with tertiary care. And so that was how this system was set up. The University of Maryland School of Medicine was located right next to the medical center, and it was a teaching hospital for the medical school. Okay, now that's nice. Now in 1999, the University of Maryland Medical System acquired Maryland General Hospital, and you're going to say, "Well, that's nice, but why would they want Maryland General Hospital? Literally, just less than 1 mile away, just up the street. What purpose does that serve?" Well, the, the downtown hospital was located in the downtown location, but like all large medical centers, it wants to grow and expand. But it had difficulty doing so because it's located in downtown location. Property is expensive in the inner cities. Uh, for example, um, shock trauma started out as 4 beds in the ICU. Now it's a hospital unto itself. It occupies a city block. It's located adjacent to the medical center. Uh, it's a wonderful facility. Has its own ORs, has its own ICU, uh, has its own helicopter pad on the top. It has an auditorium on the first floor, but it came at considerable taxpayer cost. The medical school also wanted to grow and expand. When I first got here 11 years ago, there was a big hole in the ground next to the medical school, and then they were building this large research building, a 27-story research building, It's since been built, and it attracts basic science researchers from all over the country uh, to bring their research uh, to University of Maryland. It's been a great addition to the um, to our campus. Um, so, but the Department of Medicine at the downtown site, they they not, they don't have the millions of dollars to build new buildings, and so when the medical, system purchased Maryland General Hospital, they began to offload clinical services up to this site. So, the Center for Diabetes and Endocrinology, which is a pretty big clinic, moved to this site. Infectious diseases moved all its, uh, clinical practice up to the site. Pulmonary moved its clinics up to the site, moved the sleep center up to the site. And by offloading these, clinical, um, uh, uh, these clinics, and these services up to this site, then the downtown site can continue to grow and expand. Then in 2015, the two hospitals, formally merged into, one medical center, with one board of directors, one CEO, and so we are essentially now, one, medical center with two campuses. Meanwhile, over the past 10 years, there's been tremendous growth here at the Midtown campus. We serve now over 130,000 patients annually. Um, in 2010, they renovated the OR suite. Um, it's the and then about 10 years ago, they added a ninth OR because the ORs have become so busy from the surgeons from the downtown site coming up here and doing their elective surgeries here at Midtown. It cost over $1 million to put in one OR. I think it's a music system. At any rate, the downtown ORs are very, very busy, hard to get OR time. So the surgeons at downtown site found that, hey, Midtown ORs are open. They're welcoming. Patients like it because the patients can. It's easier to park and get in and out of this hospital than at the downtown hospital. So this has been it's been very the surgeons have found it very successful to get their surgery scheduled and get the patients done. Um, and so the volume of surgeries here has increased dramatically. We the ICU here was renovated and now it's fully staffed by University of Maryland pulmonary critical care faculty. Now there's about 50 pulmonary critical care faculty. They could have said to each of them, "All right, everyone does 1 week of the Midtown ICU. We'll get us staffed." Fortunately, they didn't do that. Instead, they've identified about half a dozen pulmonary critical care faculty, and they've become our pulmonary critical care faculty. They do a week at a time. They come to know our ICU. They come to know our nurses. They come to know our residents. They know the policies of the hospital. They give lectures to our. They give new conference to our residents. They help our residents in terms of research projects if that's what the residents are interested in pursuing. And they serve as mentors for those residents who want to pursue pulmonary critical care. So it's become a win-win. They have become our pulmonary critical care faculty, and they've made our ICU rotation a pinnacle rotation on our in our curriculum. The sleep lab was moved over here. There's a pulmonary rehab unit here. Um, it's located on the 5th floor. Now these people are they're pretty sick. Most of them are ventilator dependent. They're going through a prolonged weaning process. Now this is a rehab unit, so our residents don't rotate through there. But these are folks who come up here from the downtown ICU, from the shock trauma ICU, from the SICU. These are pretty sick patients. If any of these people decompensate, they end up going directly into our ICU. But um, it's an interesting unit, and where there's 22 beds in that unit. They renovated the psychiatry unit here. There's 36 beds, and it's a state of the art inpatient psych unit. Um, uh, People come from all over the country to tour it because um, it has all kinds of innovative, all kinds of innovations, so that patients do not have the potential of harming themselves. I yeah, it takes some unique engineering uh, uh, to create doors and appliances, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting to think about that. And then in 2021, a new ambulatory tower was opened here. It's a 10-story tower. It's uh, it's these are all clinics staffed by university faculty. On the top floor is primary care, including our resident clinic, and then there's a pulmonary clinic, a GI clinic, nephrology clinic, ID clinic, endocrine clinic. They're all in this tower. And so over the past decade, this I've seen, and we've witnessed the transformation of two campuses merging into one academic medical center. Here's a picture of the ambulatory tower, and these are all the clinics that are housed in that tower. And the emphasis is on chronic disease management. So if you have diabetes, you can see the endocrine clinic, but then you can also go to a nephrology clinic for your CKD. You can go to ophthalmology clinic for your retinopathy. You can go to podiatry, which is housed in the endocrine clinic. So it's sort of a one-stop shopping. And so this is on the left is the downtown medical center. On the right is the Midtown, and the University of Maryland Medical Center, composed of these two hospitals. But the downtown medical center is essentially a tertiary referral center, and the Midtown is a teaching hospital that's focused on managing the care of the community. Now, pictured here is Mohan Santa. Mohan Santa was the president of the two combined campuses, and then he got promoted to be the president of the entire system, all 13 hospitals. And but his vision was that the two campuses um, are have different roles. The downtown campus provides tertiary care, and the Midtown campus provides a community hospital feel, and provides service to our to the community around our two campuses. Transitional Year mission, the program mission, to train um, skilled, compassionate, self-motivated physicians in a supportive environment. And our goal is to um, uh, train physicians from diverse backgrounds uh, to provide quality of care, to embrace scientific inquiry, investigation in their future practice, and pursue a career characterized by professionalism and lifelong learning. And our hope is that when the residents graduate from the TY program, that they will have the foundational knowledge and experience to succeed in the future specialty training. So let me give you a sense for the faculty. These are the folks that you would be working with. Harsh Patel is the associate program director. He's one of our hospitalists here. He is a graduate of the categorical internal medicine program here. Jeff Gerbino is the other associate program director, so he's responsible for the outpatient curriculum, and he's also director of the Midtown Health Center, the resident continuity clinic. Dr. Malik is the DIO, designated institutional official. She's also director of the endocrinology clinic. All teaching hospitals have a DIO. They're responsible for making sure the hospital meets all the ACGME requirements for the institution. Now, in terms of our subspecialists, Dr. Reyes Hawk is the director of cardiology. He's 100% based here in Midtown. His clinic is in the tower, and then he conducts consultations for patients in the hospital. Avelino Vercelis is director of pulmonary critical care. He rotates for a week at a time in our ICU as one of the ICU attendings. His clinic is also in the tower, but he spends a fair amount of time at the VA hospital. The reason for that is because he operates a research lab at the VA. But so he's back and forth on the shuttle that goes back and forth between the two campuses, coming here to meetings, coming here for his clinic, but also going downtown for his research work. Dr. Onder is director of nephrology. She's I would say 95% based here at Midtown. Her clinic is in the tower. She does consults in our hospital. There may be one week every 3 months. She's on the consult service at the downtown campus. Jenny Law is director of hematology oncology. Now, Jenny is 100% based at the downtown campus. She's director of the hematology oncology fellowship. She has her clinical practice at the downtown site. All of our third-year residents rotate with Jenny on the inpatient oncology service during their third year for a month at a time. GI is directed by Ekta Gupta. She's 100% based here at Midtown. She has a clinic in the tower. She does endoscopies in our endoscopy center here, and she participates in the inpatient consult service. Very active, very enthusiastic, great teacher. We're very fortunate to have her. She came over to join our faculty from Hopkins just this past winter. Pat Rascavage is director of infectious diseases. So his clinic is also in the tower. He participates on the inpatient ID consult service 1 week at a time. Occasionally, he helps out with the ID consult service at the downtown campus, but he's around. He also helps direct the ID fellowship, and so the fellows work with him in the clinic as well. Endocrinology, Kasif Munir, director of endocrinology. He's pretty much based here at Midtown. He's not active in doing inpatient consults. He's mostly in the outpatient sector. He's director of the thyroid biopsy clinic. Jamil Makdashi is director of rheumatology here. He helps cover our inpatient consults in rheumatology. Rheumatology consult service is located at the downtown campus, and also located at the VA. Geriatrics is located at the VA. It's run by Jake Blumenthal. So when I say that these folks, their clinics are located downtown, that means that they do their clinics downtown, but they'll come up here and give lectures to our residents they'll come up here and do consults here. Um, um, so they do have a presence here at the Midtown campus. Here's Jake Blumenthal. Uh, all interns rotate for a month on the emergency medicine, and Sarah Lee is the director of that rotation. It's a very well structured rotation. You'll do Wednesday mornings. You go to a whole series of lectures. There's a set of procedures that you need to be signed off on. You'll be assigned to um, uh, different shifts, so that you get exposure to different preceptors. It's good rotation. It's well structured, and residents have enjoyed it. Now, you also will get some exposure to non medicine services. Steve Kavik he's the director of the general surgery residency at the downtown campus, but he does a lot of elective surgeries here. And the reason he does elective surgeries here at Midtown is because of the availability of the OR. Um, uh, so, um, um, so you'll see him here on your general surgery rotation. You'll see him next to the surgeries that he's going to do. I think he comes up on Wednesdays, and I want to say Thursdays. So he spends a significant number of days each month here operating. Now, maybe I'll pause here and just say a word about the general surgery rotation. So all the TY residents rotate in general surgery. There was a time when that rotation was housed at the downtown medical center, and you would be placed on the general surgery ward service, and you would be treated like a general surgery intern. And it was a busy month, and there was call, and there was weekends, and there was competition for OR time with the other general surgery interns. Now, as the number of procedures picked up here at Midtown, we transferred that rotation here to Midtown, and they don't have a general surgery inpatient ward service. Most of the procedures that are done here at Midtown are outpatient procedures, and there really isn't there really isn't an inpatient surgical service. If they do need to stay overnight, they get admitted to the hospitalist on the non-teaching service, and the hospitalist will co-manage those patients with the surgeons. Um, so what you would do during that rotation, you would come into the hospital, you look at the OR board, you see which surgeries are being done that day, and you scrub in with different surgeons. Now, our interest is that you scrub in on a diversity of cases. So you'll see, we want you to scrub in on vascular surgery, on orthopedics, on general surgery, on ENT, on urology. So get the whole breadth of general surgery, um, uh, and and get to meet the different surgeons, and see what's involved in these different types of surgeries. Um, Now, if you do have the chance of scrubbing with Steve Kavik, that's really a treat. He's a great teacher. He gives you a lot of responsibility in the OR. I mean, he's the program director for the general surgery rotation at the downtown site. But he's gonna expect you to he's gonna expect you to know the anatomy. So you may want to study the anatomy before you jump into the OR with him. Mike Lilly, he's the chair of surgery here. He's also director of vascular surgery here. His reputation is that if you're going to go into interventional radiology, he's going to look at you, a very stern look on his face, and he said, "That's a shame. You should be going into vascular surgery." And then he's going to do his best to try to get you to switch into vascular surgery. But he also is a good teacher, and he enjoys having residents scrubbing with him, and he and because they don't have vascular surgery residents. They like Mike Lilly would have a fellow with him in the OR, but they don't have residents, so you'll get a fair amount of responsibility, and hopefully it's a positive experience. Andrea Hebert is the director of ENT, and they do a fair amount of elective ENT surgeries here. Dr. Sarah Ula is the director. Well, no, she's the program director in ophthalmology, and the University of Maryland ophthalmology program. They have a busy OR schedule, and they have a busy OR room. And those people who are going into ophthalmology, they'll get to work with and get to know Dr. Ula well. Ben Opera is director of urology. You'll enjoy working with Ben. He's enjoys working with our residents. Um, he'll not only can you work with him in the OR, but also on the medical floors when you consult urology. It'll usually be Ben or one of his partners, and they enjoy teaching and helping out our residents. Jeffrey Hirsch is director of radiology. Now, the radiology group is part of the faculty at University of Maryland. Uh, a lot of the studies that they do are read by the radiology faculty from the downtown campus, meaning that like the CAT scans will be read by a radiologist who's sitting at the downtown campus, but they're easily reachable. In addition, there's usually someone on site. There, there's someone here, and there's usually in the afternoons. There's also someone from IR here doing IR procedures. Okay, so I don't know who these crazy people are. So the call schedule during internship. So there's 3 ward teams, and 2 of the teams, it's 1 resident, 2 interns, and on the other team, it's 1 resident and then 1 intern, and then there's 1 to 2 students on each of the teams. There's a night float system here, and the night float it starts at 7 p.m. to work until 7 in the morning, and the ward teams usually sign out to each other about 4 o'clock to a long call team. The long call signs out at 7 p.m. to night float. Hope that's not too complicated. Here's here's how it looks schematically. There's 3 teams here, and they rotate being a long call. So you're staying in the hospital when you're on the wards till 7 p.m. every 3rd night. And then the other days, you can sign up between 4 to 5. Now, the gold and purple team, they accept admissions in an alternating fashion. The orange team, so the cap on the purple and gold teams is 16 patients. Now, according to the ACGME, the cap on the number of admissions, the cap on the number of patients on a ward team with 1 resident, 2 interns is 20, and that's what it is now, and that's what we've always had, the cap of 20. Except it was never really reached. We had that on the books, but in general, the cap, the resident services were, there were 12, 13, 14, 16, never really got to 20. If they ever got to 20, it was a big deal. Everyone in the hospital knew about it. They threw rose petals on the ground when the resident team walked on the wards. Really wasn't a thing until the pandemic, and then then the teams were at 20 for months on end, And we thought, oh my goodness, this is that we have a lot of patients. Um, and indeed, we did. And we thought, okay, when the pandemic is over, it will go back to business as usual. It never really happened that way. We remained at our cap of 20, um, even after the pandemic stopped. And why is that? Because during the pandemic, we created the system in which patients would be transported to University of Maryland, either downtown campus or the Midtown campus, if we had open beds. So we would offload um, these hospitals in the outer Baltimore areas, um, th- and we would take them by ambulance, we take them by helicopter, and they would come populate our empty beds. Now, this system remained in place after the pandemic is over. So, and even now, we're getting patients from Eastern Shore, we're getting patients from Western Maryland. Um, um, so, um, so what do we do? Um, I think the residents were able to manage, but they weren't able to prioritize education as as their main priority in the course of a day. Their focus was on getting the patients the care they needed. 20 is a lot of patients for a resident team to manage. So we cut down the cap to 18. And we did that, and a few months later, I checked in with the teams, and they said, "Okay, 18 is better, but we still um, uh, aren't able to totally fulfill the educational mandate. That the focus still seems to be on the clinical care provided to our patients, and so we cut down the cap further to 16, and that's where we are now." And so each intern has a cap of 8. The resident has a cap of 16. And I think that's we've hit a sweet spot in which there's sufficient volume of patients so that they'll see a broad breadth of pathology. But also there's time and opportunity to learn from your patients, to make that month a educational experience. Um, Now you're going to say, "Well, that's nice. What about those patients that the teams were seeing?" That basically what we're talking about here is 8 patients who would have been on the resident service. Now they they're no longer being followed by residents. What's happened to them? And so that involves you can't just let those patients go unattended, right? So we created a non-teaching hospitalist service. Now that doesn't just happen out of thin air. You have to hire a hospitalist to take care of them, and hospitalists work 7 days on and 7 days off. So you have to basically hire 2 hospitalists. One hospitalist would work for a week at a time, then another hospitalist would work for a week at a time, and then they would piggyback with each other. And then next thing you know, you got a hospitalist service. So basically, the hospital um, uh, uh, came up with the funds to stand up a non-teaching hospitalist service. Now, the service doesn't just have 8 patients. Because of this increasing volume of patients who are being sent to our hospital, that non-teaching hospital service has it on any given day between 12 to 16 patients. These are non-teaching patients, uh, but half of those would have been patients that would be on the teaching service. So this a financial commitment was made by the hospital to make sure that our residents um, met their educational mandate. Now, what about this orange team? This orange team has a cap of 7. Now, what is up with that? So this orange team is the intermediate care unit. So these patients are not quite sick enough for the ICU, but too sick for the medical wards. So it's one resident, one intern. These are pretty sick patients, need a little bit more intensity of care. Okay. Now, a night float admits a total of 5 patients, and then in the morning, those patients are then transferred to the day teams. This is it's a busy service at night. They admit these 5 patients. They also cross cover the teaching service uh, at night. Okay. Now the 3 ward teams take turn being on long call. The teams have either Saturday or Sunday off, so they get 1 day off a week. Um, Now there's a rotation for the transitional years called cross coverage, and during the cross coverage block, you would work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on the wards, uh, ro- provide and that way the interns on the ward teams get 1 day off a week, and then you as the transitional year intern assigned to the cross coverage block, you have Monday and Tuesday off. And the yearly schedule consists of 13 4-week long blocks. This was new about 2 years ago. We used to have just traditional month by month. So we would have 12 blocks. The residents said to me, "Hey, why don't we make it 13 blocks with each of them being 4 weeks long?" I said, "Hey, that's fine if you can figure out how that works. Um, yeah, let's go for it." That kind of That's certainly beyond my expertise. I wouldn't be able to figure how that works, but they were able to come up with a schedule, and so we've implemented and works well. What does that mean? A couple of things. One is that every you start every block the same day of the week, and you end every block on the same day of the week. So you're not starting a block on a weekend. Every block starts um, on a Tuesday, ends on a Monday. The other thing is um, you get a 4-week long vacation. Um, I'll show you this. This is the schedule. Um, 3.5 blocks on general medicine wards, half block of night float, 2 blocks of ICU, 1 block is emergency medicine, 1 block is general surgery, 2 electives, and then this 1 block of the cross coverage block that I mentioned. Um, there's 1 block of vacation and 1 block that's ambulatory. Um, and Now there's 4 people in our categorical. I'm sorry, 4 people in our transitional year who are destined for the University of Maryland ophthalmology program, and this is their schedule, and it's very comparable to the transitional year schedule. There's some slight differences. They don't get the general surgery block because they're doing ophthalmology. They also um, they only have a half block of elective time, um, and so it's a little. But the other rotations are pretty. Uh, it's very comparable, and that was the intent, is to make the two schedules look very similar. So here they are side by side. Now, both groups of residents they have 5 days off in the last week of December. It's either around the Christmas or either around New Year's, so they get a little bit of vacation time there as well. Now, here's the schedule for the categorical internal medicine residents, and it's fairly comparable. Uh, and our view, our hope is that all the interns, whether they're internal medicine residents, PGY1, whether there's transitional year, whether there's ophthalmology first year, that they're all one group of interns, and there's 19 of them, and they're all are one integrated group. They all work together. Uh, they all have schedules that are fairly equivalent, and the requirements are the same for all of them. The expectations are the same for all of them. Our hope is that it's one integrated, confluent internship class. Um, and you know that when you are working hard and you're trying to push a boulder up the hill, and you want everyone to be pushing with the same vigor, with the same effort, and next thing you know, that boulder gets to the top of the hill. But if you feel like you're pushing really hard, but others don't, that aren't required to do the same, then it feels much more difficult for you. So we want everyone to feel like they're all in the same boat. They're all pushing together with the same amount of vigor. All right, now watch this animation. You all like that? I worked hard on that. All right. Here's the weekly schedule. The day starts at 7. For the wards, you get sign out from night float. On Tuesdays, there's a case conference presented by one of the interns on an interesting case that they had. Then from 7:30 to 9:30, there's pre-rounds. 9:30 to 12, there's attending rounds. There's noon conference every day. Now, on Thursdays, noon conference is either grand rounds or M&M, and then sign outs at usually about 4. This is a downtown Inner Harbor. You can park your boat in the Inner Harbor and visit the sites. Now, uh, all the one-year programs that you look at, I think it's very, very important to look at the second year and third year residents at that hospital, because those are the folks who will be supervising you. Those are the ones who will be working with. Those are the ones that will be in the trenches with you. Our goal for our categorical internal medicine residents is that no matter what they go into in their future careers, whether they're hospitalists, they're primary care doctors, they're subspecialists, that they value and focus on their teaching skills. That teaching is one of the core principles of our residency program. At the end of the first year, we have a retreat for our internal medicine residents on teaching skills, on how to provide feedback, and we hope that we try to inculcate the um, the value of teaching, and we hope that they will incorporate that into their future career planning. Now, when I said this to one of the applicants for our TY program, he said, "Well, hey, why don't you have that retreat for the transitional year interns? Aren't the transitional year interns teaching students as well?" And I said, "Yep, Sam, you're right." Uh, so, uh, we did that. We have a retreat for the transitional year interns. It's usually the end of September or beginning of October, and we focus on teaching skills, how to supervise students, how to give feedback, and we hope that that's something that the transitional year residents enjoy, and something that they will take with them as they go on into their future training. So here's our conferences. Most of the conferences are given in the subspecialty areas like infectious diseases, cardiology, GI, nephrology. Emergency medicine gives conferences. It seems like the focus of the emergency medicine conferences now is on point of care ultrasound. We have the residents who are on ambulatory block, they give a ambulatory presentation once a month. We have M&M once a month, twice a month, grand rounds twice a month, cancer conference, and journal club. Now, this is the sim lab at the downtown campus. Uh, we uh, we had a resident here who was interested in simulation. He created a simulation curriculum, and we began using the sim lab at the downtown site on a monthly basis. And then the pandemic happened, and so we had to stop. And then after the pandemic happened, this is the inside of the sim lab downtown. Very sophisticated. The shock trauma surgeons use that same sim lab. Um, but now we have our own sim lab here. It's not as sophisticated. It's basically one mannequin. It's one room. Uh, we we do try to teach ultrasound. This is the ultrasound device, not the person in the blue gown, but the ultrasound. Although that thing in the blue gown thinks he's an ultrasound device. Um, we have an ultrasound in the ICU. That's this one. We have an ultrasound that device in the emergency department. Then we have two smaller handheld devices that the residents can use for the wards. What uh, we're not a fellow-dominated program. You won't see fellows running your cases. If you call for a cardiology consult, a cardiologist will come see your patient. If you call for nephrology consult, it'll be a nephrologist come to see your patient. You get to know them well. You'll be able to communicate with them regularly. They'll get to know you. You get to know them. We do have a critical care fellow who rotates with our ICU team, and they're integral to the ICU. The ICU attending makes rounds, but then they delegate the authority to the fellow to help out with the residents uh, in the afternoon and early evening. Sorry about that. Then the fellow helps the residents with procedures, with new admissions. Um, so their presence is invaluable. We do have University of Maryland School of Medicine students here, but we don't have to administer a medical school, which is a lot of work. We don't have on-site research labs at this campus. The research labs are located at the downtown campus. Some of our internal medicine residents have done uh, work in those research labs, and that's if they have an interest in that field. Um, s- uh, we don't do bypass surgery here. We don't do transplants here. If that's your interest, this may not be the right hospital for you. We don't have sub specialists in every field. What I mean by that is, so we have cardiologists here, but we don't have left atriumologist. Uh, we we don't have heart failure specialist. We Now at the downtown site they have heart failure specialists. Basically, these are people who are focused on end stage heart failure, getting those patients ready for transplant. Um, we don't have we have gastroenterologists here. They're excellent gastroenterologists, but they're not pancreatologists. They're the University of Maryland has a handful of standing hepatologists. But those hepatologists are mostly based at the downtown campus because um, they operate a very busy, one of the busiest liver transplant services in the country. And so um, um, now those hepatologists will come up here and do have office hours in the clinic, but uh, The emphasis, though, on the inpatient wards is on general gastroenterology and not and it doesn't really involve these, subspecialists. So, what we're not about is this subspecialist care. The but that care is available, at the downtown site, and that's where those patients are sent, if they need, um, transplant, if they need, bone marrow transplant, if they need, um, evaluation for liver transplant. We don't, those specialists are at downtown. What's unique, this program is valued by the institution. There's only 2 programs that are sponsored by the institution, it's the internal medicine program and the transitional year program. We each, the programs have been here for, I think the transitional year program has been here for about, 30 to 40 years, and, the hospital is very proud of the program um, and, uh, they want to see it, be successful. My view is that we want this to be a resident-run program. It's not only is it boring, if they expect me to be the, person directing the program, but it's also, better for the program to have the residents' involvement, the residents' suggestions. For example, I don't know a darn thing about point of care ultrasound. I don't know which end of the probe to hold, but the residents have an interest in it. They developed a curriculum in it. Um, now, I had to come up with the funding to buy these 2, devices for the wards, but, it's something that the residents, wanted to pursue. Same thing with simulation. I didn't know anything about simulation, but the residents were interested in it, and they created a curriculum, and they implemented it. So truly is, if you come and you have a interest in something, we want you to, um, have some have some skin in the game, work on it, and we want you to leave the program in a better place than what it was when you first got here. And that should be a goal that you should have, as you go through your career, that no matter what organization you belong to, no matter what, system you belong to, that you will make a difference, that you'll make it better. Um, every program that you look at the balance between education and service. We feel like our residents are all here for educational experience. They're not here to be service workers for the hospital. Right now, if you go to the hospital, you take all the residents out of the hospital. The residents wouldn't, the program wouldn't, the hospital wouldn't close. They, we have hospitalists, who could run those services. We have intensivists who would run the ICU. Um, s- um, we feel like our residents are here for a educational experience. Now, what are we looking for in candidates? And I get this question a lot, and the answer is it's not easy, but let me try to address it. We're looking for folks who have initiative, curiosity, self-discipline, motivation, resourcefulness, drive, and teamwork. All right, now I know these are abstract, terms, so let me see if I can give you some, g- g- give you context. Um, so um, my overall perspective is that the internship, it's busy, but it's not so busy that it that you don't have time to, study, time to learn, time to engage in self-education. So I think that's really where the educational process, occurs. That, if you see a patient that you are curious about maybe a disease process or curious about, the management plan, you take the initiative to read about it, to study it, uh, and then that you educate yourself. And um, that discipline, that motivation, that curiosity, that drive to learn is how you at the end of the year you can look yourself in the mirror and say, "Hey, I got a lot out of that experience." Now if you don't have the time, the energy, the opportunity to study and learn, that and then that's shame on the program, right? But if the program gives you the the license, the time, the opportunity to learn, and you don't, then that's shame on you, right? So that's what we're looking for, those who do seem to have that self-discipline, the motivation, the drive, the curiosity, the initiative, to want to learn, to make the year the best that it can be, get the most that they can out of the year. Um, so I'll give you some examples of this. Um, I had a lot of examples. We had a resident who was going into radiation oncology. So I met with him early in the year, and I said, "Hey, Greg, you got a elective coming up. We've got a good oncology clinic, and maybe it's something you want to take as an elective." And he said, "No, I'm good with that." I said, "Oh, what elective do you want to take?" And he said, "I want to take neurology." I said, "Oh, why do you want to do neurology?" He said, "Oh, I want to improve my neurology examination, physical examination skills." So he did that. And then come wintertime, he had another elective. And I said, "Hey, Greg, what are you going to do for this elective?" He said, "Oh, I want to do infectious diseases." I said, that's curious. Um, why do you want to do infectious diseases? He says, I want to understand about uh, antibiotic prescribing, um, and antibiotic stewardship. So he did that. And so I thought that was, insightful that had he had an awareness of where he wanted to get better, and he took the initiative to seek out the opportunities to improve himself in those areas. Um, I had a we had a resident who was going into radiology, and so he wanted to do an elective in anesthesiology. Now, we don't have anesthesiology residency here, but we have anesthesiologists. They love working with our residents. They, in fact, created an elective for our residents, so he took that elective. But I said, "Hey, why do you want to do a elective in anesthesiology? This elective mostly is for people going into an anesthesiology, so they can get practice with intubation and 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 anesthesiology stuff." Uh, and Arpan said, "Well, sometimes we have to do cautious sedation, uh, for patients who need some sedation related to radiology procedures." So he wanted to learn about that, and so he did that, and he learned about cautious sedation, and I think he enjoyed that rotation. Well, I know he enjoyed that rotation because he, for a second rotation, he did it again. And I said to him, "Hey, why are you doing another rotation in anesthesiology?" He says, "Well, I really liked the first one." He wants to, they talked to him about doing it again, and so he decided to do it again. Uh, maybe, maybe he has, maybe has second thoughts about his career choice. I don't know. But anyway, he's a radiologist now. But you have your choice about what electives you want to choose, and we leave that up to you, and we hope that you'll put some thought and into that decision. Um, so these are the things that are going to be required of the TY year. Now, a lot of these requirements, they're not our requirements. These are requirements from the ACGME. So a continuity care experience of 140 hours. Again, it's not our requirement, it's the ACGME requirement. And we have primary care practices that you would go to, and um, that's how you meet that requirement. You present a poster at the Maryland ACP chapter meeting in May. Now, this is generally a case report poster. You'll have many interesting cases over the course of the year. You pick one. Look, you did the history, you did the physical exam, you throw that on the poster. Maybe there's an interesting X-ray or EKG. You throw that on the poster. Next thing you know, you got a poster. And so you present it. And what this is, this meets the scholarly activity requirement of the ACGME for the TY year. There's a set of uh, online modules by the Institute for Healthcare Improvement and Quality Improvement. It takes about I don't know, 4 to 6 hours to do that. So I did it. I found them to be really uh, educational. But you do these modules, and then you participate in a QI project. Now you don't complete a QI project, so I think that's asking too much. But you become part of a QI project. Now all the senior residents in internal medicine are required to do a QI project. They'll try to recruit you to join their project. You can do that. On the other hand, you may want to go to a department of interest to you, like the radiology department, anesthesiology department, um, you ask them what QI projects do they have going on. You can join one of those projects. We want you to get a taste for QI, but we don't want you to burden you with the responsibility of completing a project. Now, some have completed a project, and that's to their credit. But I don't. We just want you to get a taste for QI. Again, this is a requirement by the ACGME that you get some experience in QI. What happens at the end of the year? You just write a summary of what is the QI project, what was the issue that was being addressed, what was the methodology of the project, how you contributed to it, and that just demonstrates that's how you document your participation. We want you to be on a committee. Now, the hospital runs on committees. There's a lot of quality improvement committees. There's a critical care committee. There's a medical ethics committee. There's a research committee. There's the Transitional Year Program Evaluation Committee. So there's a lot of committees. You join a committee. Why do we have you do that? We hope that as you progress in your career, that you'll get involved in 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 leadership. You'll get involved in administration. Um, I think you all have great potential, and having that experience on a committee and seeing how hospital runs based on the recommendations of a committee. Um, that we hope that that's an instructive experience. Um, and so at the end of the year, we want you to just write a summary of what was the committee that you belonged to, what was the charge of the committee, how did you participate, what did you gain from that experience. And we hope that you'll take that experience with you as you progress in your career, that you'll look as you mature your career, you'll look for leadership opportunities. Um, you give an ambulatory conference. So these conferences occur once a month, and you give a topic. You present a topic to the to all the residents on a topic of your interest that's in the ambulatory realm. Why do we have you do that? Because that shows that you're able to um, research a topical area. You can summarize it, and then you can present it in a well-organized manner. Again, a requirement of the ACGME. Okay. There's a lot of social events that occur, very sociable group. Okay, so, just to give you a sense of where folks have gone, from here, here in 2020, the graduates, look, we had 2 go to interventional radiology, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 went into, diagnostic radiology, and then 2 into ophthalmology. Do we need this many radiologists in this country? I don't think so. Here in 2021, we had 1 person go to PM&R, 1 into rad onc, 1 into derm, 2 into anesthesiology, 1 into, uh diagnostic radiology, 1 into IR, 1 into ophthalmology, 1 into preventive medicine. So there was good diversity here, and that was nice. You know, we like to have diversity, um, but it's whoever matches here. We can't control the match, um, except starting in 2022. We did this thing with because ophthalmology requires that all the people of the ophthalmology program do their TY do their first year at the institution where they're doing their ophthalmology. So, starting in 2022, all the ophthalmology residents at Maryland do their first year with us. So 4 of our 10 positions are dedicated to the ophthalmology people. In terms of non-ophthalmologists, we had, 2 people going into diagnostic radiology, 1 to derm, 1 to interventional radiology, and 1 into anesthesiology. In 2023, we had 2 people go to derm, and that was fun. It's fun to have the derm people here. Um, uh, they bring a different perspective. We have 3 people go to diagnostic radiology and 1 into PM&R. 2024, so we had 2 people going to IR, 1 to derm, and then 1, 2, 3 people going to diagnostic radiology. And finally, in 2025, we had 3 people or 4 people going to diagnostic radiology, 1 into interventional radiology, 1 into derm. Again, we can't control who matches with us. We get who we get. We're happy to have who we have. We'll work with them. Uh, it would be nice to have a diversity of specialties, a diversity of specialty interests, um, but um, uh, um, uh, that's what it is. So now, so Dr. Haver, she was one of our former TY residents, and she conducted for her QI project. She conducted a survey of the previous TY residents who graduate from here, and tried to understand how they what their view was after they've graduated here. So we had 53 people who had graduated here from 2015 to 2019, and then 37 of them responded. So that's a pretty good response rate. Um, and as you can see, a lot of them were people who went into radiology, but we had some anesthesiology, some neurology, psych, rad onc, and then also a fair amount of ophthalmology people. So what are the results? So 95% said they would choose the TY internship again. 97% said they would advise applicants to consider TY internship, and I guess as opposed to preliminary internal medicine. And 86% reported that the TY internship helped affirm their decision to pursue their chosen specialty. I guess what that means is that they're glad that they are going into whatever they went into, and not internal medicine, I guess. um, so so that was good. Hey, so just a word about Baltimore. The Inner Harbor is a festive area. It's about a mile away from where we are. It's busy in the summertime. Um, the crab is the food of Baltimore. They're not easy to eat. It needs some practice. This is the Baltimore Art Museum. It's located about 4 miles north of us. It's a nice art museum. The Orioles are our baseball team. Didn't have a great season this past year. Now the year before they did well. They got some good pitching. They did well. They got to the playoffs, but this year they're not. It wasn't so good. Ravens are our football team. The Oriole Stadium is about a mile away from where we are now. Raven Stadium is just on the other side of Oriole Stadium. Ravens they're a great team. You heard it here. If you come to Baltimore, we're going to convert you to be a Ravens fan. We have a soccer team. They're it's tough. It's tough because our team has to play the other residencies in town. And Johns Hopkins has 150 residents. University of Maryland has 140 residents, and we have 37 residents. And we had to come up with a team to play those residency programs. And then so I told our team, I said, "Hey, you all got to practice. You got to practice." So here's our team. Do they look like they're practicing? It doesn't look like a lot of practice to me. The residents do a lot of things socially. It seems to involve food. And here they are. This is the ICU team, and look, they're here. They are in the ICU team room, and they're eating. Ravens. So it's the residents enjoy doing a lot of things together outside the hospital. So this is a picture of our soccer team. All right, we did not win, but what they did was they borrowed the trophy and took a picture with the trophy, looking like they won. All right, but you have to say we have the best shirts. The shirt says Midtown United. It's a great shirt. They also had the best baby. Look at that baby. This is the soccer team that this was 2 years ago. They won it's like a tournament. They won the first game, but then they lost the next two. But it looks like they all had a good time. They all survived. All right. So look, I'm sorry this thing took so long. Today you'll have a chance to sit in with noon conference with the residents. Hope you enjoy that experience. There's a video tour that was taken. Please have a look at that. The most important part of all of this, though, more important than the interview, more important than this video for sure, more important than the tour video, there's this debriefing session with residents. This is just with residents. There's no one from the program there. Ask them some tough, probing, assertive, confrontational questions. That's when you get to cut open the underbelly of the program and see if this is the right program for you. Finally, I should mention there's no need to engage in a follow-up correspondence after your interview. We're trying to follow the guidelines from the NRMP. Sometimes the correspondence results in some disingenuous communication, and so they're trying to discourage that. If you do have some questions, you do have something that you would like to be addressed, yes, please reach out to us. We're glad to hear from you. But sort of routine thank you letters, don't feel like you need to do that. It's not expected. And on the other hand, you won't necessarily hear anything from us. That doesn't mean that we don't love you, and we don't love your application. We certainly do. It's just that we're trying to follow the guidelines by the NRNP related to correspondence after the interview. All right. So thank you for your attention. Hope you survived it. Welcome to Midtown, and I look forward to speaking with you one on one. Thank you. Bye.